Okay, today we're going to talk about synthesis and decomposition reactions. The first reaction we're going to look at is this synthesis reaction. I'm going to go through the definition and give you a general equation and then do an example. So a synthesis reaction is when two or more substances combine to form a new substance. You're building something. The general equation for this is A plus X forms AX. So you have two simple elements or two simple compounds, and that forms a new substance. So you could have two elements form one compound. You could have two simple compounds form a new compound. And so we're going to look at a specific example of two simple compounds forming a new compound. We're going to look at a metal oxide, so this could be any metal oxide. In this case, we're using calcium oxide. Plus water. Whenever you have a metal oxide react with water, you're going to get a metal hydroxide. And so you would have to memorize this, that if you have a metal oxide plus water, it forms a metal hydroxide. In this case, it would be calcium hydroxide. And so I'm going to write the formulas next. You have to cross charges because calcium oxide is a ionic compound. So we get CaO. It's an ionic compound. It's a solid. Water is a liquid. When you combine calcium oxide with water, it forms a solid. It's not soluble, so you get calcium hydroxide. And so to kind of show this, here is my calcium hydroxide plus my water. My calcium oxide plus water. And then what we're going to get, this is all going to combine together. We're going to get calcium hydroxide. One calcium for every two hydroxide ions. And I do want to do a check to make sure this is balanced. I would put a tally below my equation so I have 1 calcium. I have 2 oxygens. And I have 2 hydrogens. Over here I have 1 calcium, 2 oxygens, and 2 hydrogens. And so this one is balanced as written. And the demo for this one that we will watch is the explosive demo.
Have your attention, please. Can I get all the students?
And so the next type of reaction we're going to look at is that this is a synthesis where we're forming a new substance. Now we're going to look at a decomposition reaction. And so we'll go through the definition, a general equation, and then do an example. And so as decomposition, this is the only reaction that we will go over where you will only have one reactant. So this is a single compound breaks down into 2 or more simpler substances. And so our general equation, we have a single compound, only one reactant. It's going to form 2 products. So this is the opposite of a synthesis reaction. So you can have one reactant form 2 elements, or you could have one reactant form 2 simple compounds. And the demo for this one that we will look at, we'll come back and look at, is the decomposition of water. So we have potassium carbonate, which is a metal carbonate. And so you need to memorize that whenever you have a metal carbonate, it's going to decompose into a metal oxide and carbon dioxide. And so it doesn't matter what metal you have, a metal carbonate will always decompose into a metal oxide. In this case, it will be potassium oxide. And then carbon dioxide. You have to memorize that. And so I'm going to write formulas. Potassium carbonate ionic compound, I have to cross charges to write formulas. It's an ionic compound, so it's a solid. potassium oxide. Again, you have to cross charges. Potassium oxide is insoluble in water, so it'd be a solid. Carbon dioxide's molecular, so you'd have a gas. So here I have potassium carbonate. It's going to decompose and form potassium oxide. Which is a solid. And then carbon dioxide gas, which I'll put up higher since it's a gas. And so I want to make sure that this is balanced, so I make my tally. I have 2 potassiums on the reactant side, 1 carbon, 3 oxygens. On the product side, I have 2 potassiums, 1 carbon, 2 plus 1, 3 oxygen. So this one is balanced as written. And so I do want to point out that in the reverse, a metal oxide plus carbon dioxide would give you a metal carbonate. You could reverse this and it would be a synthesis reaction. Metal oxide plus carbon dioxide would give you a metal carbonate. In the reverse, it's a synthesis. For this one here, in the reverse is a decomposition. Metal hydroxide could give you calcium oxide, a metal oxide plus water. So this one, if you reverse, can be a decomposition. If you reverse a decomposition, it's a synthesis. And so we're going to look at the demos for these 2 reactions.